Samuel, the first chapter 16. Samuel anoints David. The Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you mourn for Saul, since I have rejected him as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I am sending you to Esau of Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king." 16장. Verse 2. But Samuel said, "How can I go? Saul will hear about it and kill me." The Lord said, "Take a helper with you and say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Esau to the sacrifice, and I will show you what to do. You are to anoint for me the one I indicated." Samuel did what the Lord said. When he arrived at Bethlehem, the elders of the town trembled when they met him. They asked, "Do you come in peace?" Samuel replied, "Yes, in peace. I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Consecrated yourselves and come to the sacrifice with me." Then he consecrated Esau and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice. When they arrived, Samuel saw Eliab and thought, "Surely the Lord anointed to stand here before the Lord." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things men look at. Men look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Then Esau of Samuel, but Samuel said that the Lord has not chosen this one either. Esau that had someone pass by, but Samuel said, "Nor has the Lord chosen this one." Esau had 7 of his sons pass before Samuel, but Samuel said to him, "Lord has not chosen these." So he asked Esau, "Are these all the sons you leave?" "There is still the youngest," Esau answered, "but he is tending the sheep." Samuel said, "Send for him. We will not sit down until he arrives." So he sent and had him brought in. He was ruddy, with a fine appearance and handsome feature. Then the Lord said, "Rise and anoint him. He is the one." So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brother. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came upon David in power. Samuel then went to Ramah, David in Saul's service. Now the Spirit of the Lord had departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord tormented him. Saul's attendants said to him, "See, an evil spirit from God is tormenting you. Let our Lord command his servant here to search for someone who can play the harp. He will play when the evil spirit from God comes upon you, and you will feel better." So Saul said to his attendants, "Find someone who plays well and bring him to me." One of the servants answered, "I have seen a son of Esau of Bethlehem who knows how to play the harp. He is a brave man and a warrior. He speaks well and is a fine-looking man, and the Lord is with him." Then Saul sent a messenger to Esau and said, "Send me your son David, who is with the sheep." So Esau took a donkey loaded with bread, a skin of wine, and a young goat, and sent them with his son David to Saul. David came to Saul and entered his service. Saul liked him very much, and David became one of his armor bearers. Then Saul sent word to Esau, saying, "Allow David to remain in my service, for I am pleased with him." Whenever the spirit from the God came upon Saul, David would take his harp and play. Then relief would come to Saul. He would feel better, and the evil spirit would leave him. Chapter 17, David and Goliath. Now the Philistines gathered their forces for war and assembled at Sukkot in Judah. They pitched a camp at Ephes Damin between Sukkot and Azekah. Saul and the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Plessy and drew up their battle line to meet the Philistines. The Philistines occupied one hill and the Israelites another, with the valley between them. A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. He was over 9 feet tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels. On his legs he wore bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. His spear sharp was like a weaver or rod, and its iron points weighed 600 shekels. His shield bearer went ahead of him. Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And are you not the servant of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subject. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subject and serve." Then the Philistines said, "This day I defy the ranks of Israel. Give me a man and let us fight each other." One, hearing the Philistine word, Saul and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrorized. Now David was the son of an Ebrahite named Ises, who was from Bethlehem in Judah. Ises had 8 sons, and his time he was old and well advanced in years. Isaiah's 3 oldest sons had followed Saul to the war. The first one was Eliab, the second Abinadab, and the third Salma. David was the youngest. The 3 oldest followed Saul. But David went back and paused from Saul to tend his father's sheep at Bethlehem. For 40 days the Philistine came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. Now he said to his son David, "Take this ephah of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread for your brothers and hurry to their camp. Take along these 10 cheese to the commanders of their unit. See how your brothers and bring back some assurance from them." They are with Saul, all the men of Israel in the valley of Elah, fighting against the Philistines. Early in the morning, David left the flock with a shepherd loaded up and sent out as Isaiah had directed. He reached the camp as the army was going out to its battle position, shouting the war cry. Israel and the Philistines were drawing up their line, facing each other. David left his things with the keeper of supplies, ran to the battle line, and greeted his brothers. As he was taking with them, Goliath, the Philistines' champion from Gath, stepped out from his lines and shouted his usual defiance, and David heard it. When the Israelites saw the man, they all ran from him in great fear. Now the Israelites had been saying, "Do you see how this man keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give him as a daughter in marriage and will exempt his father's family from taxes in Israel." David asked the man standing near him, "What will be done for the man who kills these Philistines and remove this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he shall deploy the enemy arms of the living God?" They repeated to him what they had been saying and told him, "This is what will be done for the man who kills him." When Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him speaking with the man, he burned with anger and asked, Why have you come down here, and with whom did you leave these uh, why have you come down here, and with whom did you leave these pure sheep in the desert? I know how conceited you are, and how wicked your heart is. You came down only to watch the battle. Now what have I done? Said David. Can I even speak? He then turned away to someone else and brought the same matter, and the man answered him as before. What David said was overheard, and the law reported to Saul, and Saul sent for him. David said to Saul, I'll let no one lose heart on account of this. Philistine, your servant will go and fight him. Saul replied, You are not able to go out against the Philistine and fight him. You are only a boy, and he has been a fighting man from his youth. But David said to Saul, Your servant has been reaping his father's sheep when a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock. I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from his mouth when it turned on me. I seized it by its ear, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the animals of the living God. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of these Philistines. Saul said to David, Go, and the Lord be with you. Then Saul deserted David in his own tunic. He put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his feet. David fastened on his sword over the tunic and tried walking around because he was not used to see. I cannot go in this, he said to Saul, because I'm not used to them. So he took them off. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the streams, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, approaching the Philistine. Meanwhile, the Philistine, with his shield bearer in front of him, kept coming closer to David. He looked David over and saw that he was only a boy, ruddy and handsome, and he despised him. He said to David, Am I a dog? Then you come at me with sticks. And the Philistine cursed David by his God. Come here, he said, and I will give you flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. David said to the Philistine, You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of his armies of Israel, who you defied. This day the Lord will hand you over to me, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. Today I'll give the carcasses of the Philistines' army to the birds of the air and the beasts of the earth, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. As the Philistine moved close to attack him, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking a stone, he stood. He slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead and he fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, without a sword in his hand to strike down the Philistine and killed him. David ran and stood over him. He took hold of the Philistine sword and drew it from the scabbard after he killed him. He cut off his head with the sword. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran. Then the men of Israel and Judah seized the post with a shout and pursued the Philistines to the entrance of God and to the gate of Elkon. Their dead was through along the Samaritan road to Gath and Elkron. When the Israelites returned from chasing the Philistines, they plundered their camp. David took the Philistines' head and brought it to Jerusalem, and he put the Philistines' weapon in his own tent. As Saul watched David going out to meet the Philistines, he said to Amnon, commander of the he said to Amnon, commander of the army, Amnon, whose son is the young man? Amnon replied, as sure as you live, O king, I don't know. The king said, find out whose son this young man is. As soon as David returned from the king, the Philistine, Amnon took him and brought him before Saul, with David still holding the Philistines. Whose son are you, young man? David said, I am the son of your servant, Less of Bethlehem. Chapter 8, Saul's jealousy of David. After David had finished taking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. From that day, Saul kept David with him and did not let him return to his father's house. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Jonathan took over the law as he was reporting, and I gave it to David along with his turning and evening in even the sword, his bow, and his belt. Whatever Saul sent him to David did it so successful that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. Whatever Saul sent him to do, David did it too successfully that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. Thus, this pleased all the people and Saul's officials as well. When the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistines, the woman came out from all the town of Israel to meet King Saul with singing and dancing, with joyful song and with tambourines and lutes. As they danced, they sung, Saul has slain in his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. Saul was very angry. The refrain carried him. They have credited David with tens of thousands, he thought, but me with only thousands. What more can he get but the kingdom? And from that time in Saul kept a jealous eye of them. The next day, an evil spirit from God came forcefully upon Saul. He was prophesying in his house when David was playing the harp as he usually did. Saul had a spear in his hands, and he hurted it, saying to himself, I'll pin David to the wall. But David eluded him twice. Saul was attacked of David because the Lord was with David, but had left Saul, so he sent David away from him and gave him command over 1,000 men. And David led the troops in the campaign. In everything he did, he had great success because the Lord was with him. When Saul saw because the Lord was with him, when Saul saw how successful He was afraid of him, but all Israel and Judah loved David because he led them in their campaigns. Saul said to David, "Here is my older daughter, Merab. I will give her to you in marriage. You will to the Lord." For Saul said to himself, "I will not raise a hand against him. Let the Philistine do that." But David had said to Saul, "Who am I and what is my family or my father's clan in Israel, that I should become the king's son-in-law?" So when the time came to Moab, Saul's daughter, to uh, to be given to David, she was given in marriage to Adriel Meloa. Now Saul's daughter Michal was in love with David, and when they told uh, and when they told Saul about it, he was pleased. "I will give her to him," he thought, "so that she may snare to him, and so that the hand of the Philistines may be against him." So Saul said to David, "Now you have a second opportunity to become my son-in-law." Then Saul ordered his attendant to speak to David privately and say, "Look at the then Saul ordered his attendants speak to David privately and say, "Look, the king is pleased with the young uh, or like you. No, become his son-in-law." They repeated these words to David, and but David said, "To you have do you think it's a some small nature of nature's the land? Do you think it's a small matter to become the king's son-in-law? I am only a poor man and little known." When Saul's servant told him what David had, he said, but servant, uh, then heard the breed Philistine, you, uh, Philistine, shaking to take revenge of his enemies. Saul's plan was to have David pulled by the hand, hands of the Philistine. When the attempt to become the king's son-in-law, and so he, before the Lord allowed, went out and killed 200 Philistines. Uh, he brought their foreskins and presented the full number to the king, so that he might become the king's son-in-law. The Saul gave him this daughter, Michal, in marriage. When Saul replied that the Lord was with David and that his daughter Michal loved David, Saul became still more afraid of him, and he remained his enemy the rest of his days. The Philistine commanders continued to go out to battle, and as often as they did, David met with more success than the rest of Saul's officials, and his name became well known. Uh, Saul tries to kill David. Saul told his son Jonathan and all the uh, attendants to kill David, but Jonathan was very fond of David and warned him, "My father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning. Go into hidden and stay here. I will go out and stand with my father in the field." where you are. I'll speak to him about you and will tell you what I find out. Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul his father and to say to them, let not the king do wrong to his servant David. He has not wronged you, and yet what he has done and he has he looked his life in his hand when he killed the Philistines. That the Lord was a great victory for all Israelites, and you saw it and were glad. Why then would you do wrong to an innocent man like David by killing him for no reason? Saul listened to Jonathan and took his oath. As sure as the Lord lives, David will not be put to death. So Jonathan called David and told him the whole conversation. He brought him to Saul, and David was with Saul as before. Once the war broke out, and David went out and fought the Philistines. He struck them with such force that they fell before him. But an evil spirit from the Lord came upon Saul, and he was sitting in his house with his spear in his hand. While David was playing the harp, Saul tried to pin him to the wall with his spear, but David eluded him, and Saul drove the spear into the wall. That night, David made good his escape. Saul sent men to David's house to watch it and to kill him in the morning. But Michal, David's wife, warned him, if you don't run for your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed. So Michal let David was uh, dead down from a widow, and he fled and escaped. Then Michal took an idol and laid it on the bed, covering it with a garment and putting some goat's hair at the heads. When Saul sent the men to capture David, Michal said, he is ill. Then Saul sent the man back to the sea and David and told them, bring him up to me in his bed so that I may kill him. But when the man entered, there was the idol in the bed, and at the head was some goat's hair. Saul to Michal, why did you deceive me like this and send my enemy away to that he escaped? Michal Michal told him, he said to me, let me get away. Why should I kill you? When David had fled and made his escape, he went to Samuel's Lama and told him all that Saul had done to him. Then he said Samuel went to Naois and stayed there. A word came to Saul, David is in Naos and Lama. So he sent men to capture him, but when they saw a group of prophets prophesying with Samuel standing there as their leader, the Spirit of God came upon Saul's men and they also prophesied. Saul was told about it and he sent more men and they prophesied. Uh, um, He sent more men, and they prophesied to Saul sent men a third times, and they also prophesied. Finally, he himself left for Rama and went to the great himself, and he asked, where are Samuel and David? Over in Naos in Rama, they said. The Spirit of God came even upon him, and he walked along prophesying until he came to Naos. He stripped off his robes and also prophesied in Samuel's presence. He lay that way all the day and the night. This is why people say, is Saul also among the prophets? David and Jonathan, chapter 20. Then David fled from Nail and Lama and went to Jonathan and asked, what have I done? What is my crime. How have I wronged your part that he is trying to take my life? Never, Jonathan said. You are not going to die. You look, my father doesn't do anything great or small without competing in me. Why would he hide this from me? Is not gone. Not so. But David took an oath and said, "Your father knows very well that I have found father favor in your eyes, and he has said to himself, Jonathan must not know this, or he will be." Uh, said to himself, Jonathan must not know this, or he will be grieved. Yet, as sure as the Lord lives, and as you live, there is one only a step between me and death. Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you want me to do, I will do it for you." So David said, Look, tomorrow is the new moon festival, and I am supposed to dine with the else as the king. But let me go and hide in the field until the evening of the day after tomorrow. Uh, if your father lies misses me at all, tell him David honestly asking my permission to hurry of Bethlehem, his hometown, become an annual sacrifice is being made then for his whole clan. If he says, very well, then your servant is safe, but if he loses his temper, you can be sure that he is determined to harm me. As for you, show kindness to your servant, for you have brought him into a covenant with you before the Lord. If I am guilty, then kill me yourself. Why hand me over to your let me? Never, Jonathan said. If I had the least linking that my father's was determined to harm you, wouldn't I tell you? David asked, "Who will tell me?" In your father answers you honestly. Come, Jonathan said, "Let go out into the field." So they went there together. Then Jonathan said to David, "By the Lord, the God of Israel, I will surely sound out my father by this time, the day after tomorrow, if he is favorably disposed toward you. Will I not send you word and let you know? But if my father is inclined to harm you, may the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if I do not let you know and send you away safely. May the Lord be with you as he has been with my father. But show me unfailing kindness like that of the Lord as long as I live, so that I may not be killed, and do not even cut off your kindness uh, from my family, not even when the Lord has cut off every one of David's enemies from the face of the earth." So Jonathan made a covenant with the whole house of David, saying, "May the Lord call uh, David affirmed his oath and of love for him, because he loves him as he loved himself." Then Jonathan said to David, "Tomorrow is the new moon festival. You will be missed, because your seat will be empty. The day after tomorrow, toward the evening, go to the place where you hid when the trouble began, and wait by the stone Ezel. I will shoot 3 rounds to the side of it, as though I were shooting at a target. Then I will send a boy and say, 'Go find the arrow.' If say to him, 'Look, the arrow are on this side of you. Bring them here.' When then come, because as sure as the Lord lives, you are safe. There is no danger. But if I say to the boy, Look at the arrows are beyond you. Ah, then you must go because the Lord has sent you away. And about the matter you and I, it is uh, cursed. Remember, the Lord is witness between you and me forever. So David hid in the pit, and when the new moon festival came, the king sat down to eat. He sat in his customarily placed by the wall, opposite Jonathan's, and Abner sent to next. But David's place was empty. Uh, Saul said nothing that day, for he thought something must have happened to David to make him ceremonially unclean. Surely he is unclean. But the next day, the second day of the moon, David's place was empty again. Then Saul said to his son Jonathan, "Why hasn't the son of Isaiah come to the meal either yesterday or today?" Jonathan answered, "David earnestly asked me for permission to go to Bethlehem." He said, "Let me go because our family is observing a sacrifice in the town and my brother has ordered me to be there. If I would uh, ordered me to the if I have found favor in your eyes, let me get away to see my brothers. That is why he has not come to the king's table." Saul's anger flared up at Jonathan, and he said to him, your son, for severe and rebellion woman, don't know what, don't know then you have seized the one who, no, perceive, and he said to him, "You are son of a perceive and rebellious woman. Don't I know then you have sided with the son of Esau to your own shame, and upon you. As long as the son of Esau lives on this earth, neither you nor your king him." Uh, Now send and bring him to me, for he must die. Why should he be put to death? What has he done? Jonathan asked his father. But Saul hurled his spear at him to kill him. Then Jonathan knew that his father intended to kill David. Jonathan got up from the table in fierce anger on the second day of the month, and he did not eat because he was uh, grieved at his father's shameful treatment of David. In the morning, Jonathan went out to the field of his meeting with David. He had a small boy with him, and uh, uh, he said to the boy, "Run and find the arrow or shoot." As the boy ran, he shouted aloud because uh, 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 I shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy came to the place where Jonathan's arrow had fallen, Jonathan called out after him, "Is the arrows beyond you?" Then he shouted, "Hurry, go quickly, don't stop." The boy picked up the arrow and returned to his mute. The boy knew nothing of all this, only Jonathan and David know. Then Jonathan gave his weapon to the boy and said, "Go carry them back to town." After the boy had gone, David got up from the south side of the stone and bowed down before Jonathan 3 times with his face to the ground. Then they kissed each other and wept together, but David wept the most. Jonah said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other." Uh, between you and me, and between you descendant and my descendant forever. The David left, and Jonathan went back to the uh, town. David went to Noah to Ahimelech. The priest Ahimelech trembled when he met him and asked, "Why are you alone? Why is no one with you?" David answered Ahimelech the priest, "The king charged me with a certain matter and said to me, 'No one is know anything about your missions and your instruction. As for my men, I have told them to meet me at a certain place. Now then, what do you have on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread, whatever you can find." But the President David, "I don't have any ordinary bread on hand. However, uh, there is uh, there is some consecrated bread here, provided the men have kept themselves from women." David replied, "Indeed, the women have been kept from us as usual whenever I set out. The men's things are holy even on missions that are not holy. How much more so today?" So the priest gave him consecrated bread, since there was no bread except the bread of the presence that had been removed from before the Lord and replaced by the hot bread on the day it was taken away. Now one of Saul's servants was there that day, detained before the Lord. He was Doeg the Edomite, Saul's head shepherd. David asked Amalek, don't you have a spear or a sword here? I haven't brought my sword or any other weapon, because the king's business was urgent. The priest replied, "The sword of Goliath, the Philistine whom you killed in the valley of Elia, is here. It is left in a close behind the abode. If you want it, take it. There is no sword here but that one." David said, "There is none like it. Give it to me." David asked that day David fled from Saul, went to Achish, king of Gath, but the servant of Achish said to him, "Isn't this David, the king of the land? Isn't the one they sing about in their dances? Saul has slain his thousand, and David has tens of thousands." David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, king of Gath. So we pretended to be insane in their presence, and while he was in their hands, he acted like a madman, making marks on the doors of the gate and letting salvation run down his bread. Achish said to his servant, "Look at the man, he is insane. Why bring him to me? Am I so short of madman? Then you have to bring this fellow here to carry on is like this in front of me. Must the man come into my house?" Chapter 20. David at Adullam and Mizpah. David left Gaza and escaped to the cave of Adullam when his brothers and his father's household heard about it, and they went down to him there. All those who were distressed or in debt of distant gathered around him, and he became uh, their leader. About 400 men worked with him. From there, David went to Mizpah in Moab and said to the king, of Moab, would you let my fathers and mother come and stay with you until learn what God will do for me? So, so so he left them with the king of Moab, and they stayed with him as long as David was in the stronghold. But the prophet God said to David, "Do not stay in the stronghold. Go into the land of Judah." So David left and went to the forest of uh, Heras. Saul's kids is priest of Nob. Now Saul heard that David and his men has been discovered, and Saul, spear in hand, was seated under the tamarisk tree on the hill of Gibeis, with all his officials stand around him. Saul said to them, "This man of Benjamin, will the son of Isaac, gave all of you plough and vineyard. Will he make all of you commanded those command?" Saul said to them, "Listen, men of Benjamin, will the son of Isaac give all of you field and vineyard? Will he make all of you commanders of thousands and commander of thousands? Is that why you have all conspired against me? No one tells me why my son makes a covenant with the son of Isaac. None of you is concerned about me or tell me that my son has incited my servant to lie in wait for me as he does today." But Doeg, the Edomite who was standing with Saul's official, "I saw the son of Isaac come to Ahimelech, son of Ahitub, and Nob." Ahimelech inquired of the Lord for uh, him. He also gave him provision and the sword of Goliath the Philistine. Then the king sent for the priest Ahimelech, son of Iddo, and his father's whole family, who were the priest and Nob, and they all came to the king. Saul said, "Listen now, son of Iddo." "Yes, my lord," he answered. Saul to him, "Why have you conspired about me? You are the son of Isaac," giving him bread and a sword and inquiring of him. For him, so many bread and the sword and inquiring of God for him, so that he is rebellious against me and lies in wait for me, as he does today. Ahimelech answered the king, "Who of your servant is as ruler as David, the king's son-in-law, captain of your bodyguard, and highly of course not let a king of course not let not be the king accuse your servant or any of his father's family. For your servant knows nothing at all about this whole affair." But the king said, "You will surely die, Ahimelech, you and your father's whole family." Then the king ordered the guards at his sides turn and kill the priest of the Lord, because they too have sided with David. They knew he was pleading, yet they did not tell me. But the king's officials were not willing to raise a hand to strike the priest of the Lord. The king then ordered Doeg, "You turn and track down the priest." So Doeg Edomite turned into uh, that killed and 5 men who were the line after. He also put to the sword knob the town of the priest with its men and women, its children and infants, and its cattle, donkeys, and sheep. But Abiathar, a son of Ahimelech, son of Idov, escaped and fled to join David. He told David that Saul had killed the priest of the Lord. Then David said to Abiathar that day when Doeg the Ebenod was them. Uh, I am responsible for the death of your father's whole family. Stay with me. Don't be afraid. The man who is seeking your life is seeking mine also. You will be safe with me. Chapter 23. David saves Kaila. When David was told, look, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah and are looting the threshing floor, he inquired of the Lord, saying, uh, shall I go and attack these Philistines? The Lord answered him, go attack the Philistines and save Keilah. But David's men said to him, here is Judah, and were afraid. How much more then if we go to Keilah against the Philistines' forces? Once again David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered him, go down to Keilah, for I am going to give him the Philistines into your hand. So David and his men went to Keilah, fought the Philistines, and carried of their livestock. He inflicted heavy losses of the Philistines and saved the people of Keilah. Now Abiah the son of Abimelech had brought an ephod down with him. He fled to David and Keilah. Saul pursued David. Saul was told that David had gone to Keilah, and he said, God has handed me over to me, for David has imprisoned himself by entering a town with gate and bars. And Saul called all his force for battle to go down to Keilah to besides David and besides. When David learned that Saul was plotting against him, he said to Abiathar the priest, bring the apes. David said, O Lord God of Israel, your servant has heard this and what they have planned to come to Keilah and destroy the town on account to me. When the will the citizens of Keilah surrender me to him? Will Saul come down as your servant has heard? O Lord, God of Israel, tell your servant. And the Lord said he will. Against David asked, will the citizens of Keilah surrender me and my men to Saul? And the Lord said, they will. So David and his men, about 600 in number, left Keilah and Carmi and kept moving from place to place. When Saul was told that David had escaped from the Keilah, he did not go there. David stayed in the desert stronghold and in the hills of the desert of Ziph. Day after day, Saul searched for him, but God did not give David into his hand. While David was at Horus in the desert of Ziph, he learned that Saul had come out to take his life. And Saul's son Jonathan went to David and Horus and helped him find strength in God. Don't be afraid, he said. My father Saul will not lay a hand on you. You will be king over Israel, and I will be second to you. Even my father Saul knows this. The two of them made of a covenant before the Lord. Then Jonathan went home, but David remained uh, at horse. The Ziphites went up to Saul and Gibeah and said, "Is not David hiking among us in the stronghold?" At horse on the hill of Hakia, south of Yeshimon. Now a king come down whenever it pleases you to do, and we will be responsible for handling him over to the king. Saul replied, "The Lord bless you for your concern for me. Go and make further preparation. Find out where David usually goes and who has seen him there. They tell me he is very crafty. Find out about all the uh, hiding place to he uses and comes back to me with divine information. Then I will go with you. If he is in the area, I will track him down among all the clans of Judah." So they set out and went to Ziph ahead of Saul. Now David and his men were in the desert of Mount in the Araban south of Yeshimon. Saul and his men began the search, and when David was told about it, he went down to the rock and stayed in the desert of Maon. When Saul heard this, he went into the desert of Maon in pursuit of David. Saul was going around one side of the uh, mountain, and David and his men were on the other side, hurrying to get away from Saul. As Saul and his forces were closing in on David and his men to capture them, a messenger came to Saul saying, "Come quickly, the Philistines are raiding the land." Then Saul broke up his pursuit of David and went to meet the Philistines. That is why they called this place the Selah Hamalak Hamahekon. And David went up from there and lived in the strongholds of En Gedi. Amen.